Our lowest race in Australia would be 27,500. That's the lowest prize money, so that's pretty good. Like Tom Ryan, jump jockey, formerly in Ireland, now in Australia. Born in a little place called Larrimore, just outside Tuam in County Galway. My father was a farmer, publican. He'd transport buses, and he's his own family. He's a shopkeeper as well, if you like. So grew up in a pub, and always had ponies and that there. And obviously, I'm the fifth child of six, so I'm the second last. And my older brother David is obviously a trainer. So grew up riding ponies from my uncle Gabriel, and our own ponies at home and that, and a lot of hunting and whatever else around. Not really show jumping, it was more hunting, and then later we went pony racing. So pony racing was a big thing. It was the start of it all, really. We rode for other people, mainly it was Matty Loughlin, he'd be a neighbour of ours in Ballygloon, Larrimore there, and Matty Loughlin and Pat Bohan, they were the two local lads who had ponies racing that, and I rode for them, and rode a fair few winners for them, and I won the I think it was the mile race in Dingle, which Dingle is like Cheltenham for the young fellas, and so that was a great local success, if you like, in the big pony race meeting of the year. At the time, there was myself, Davy Condon, Martin Forrest, Nina Carberry, Tom Malone, Mark Walsh. Jason Laffers, I'm forgetting half of them. When we finished pony racing, then we went into becoming jockeys professionally, like, or as if you went to the amateur ranks, like you knew how to ride a race without having your first ride, if you like. All because of the pony racing, yeah. My brother David, he trains there in Galway, and so that was my first real exposure to racehorses, you know. It was basically him. He taught me how to ride, and there was a lot of effing and blinding and whatever else, but it worked. That's the way it was done, I suppose, and it worked. And David had a lot of good jockeys go through his hands since me, so I was there, and then his own son Rossa, my other nephew John Fahey, Lee Roach, right now, he was there as well. Declan Collins, who rode plenty of points, he was there. So he'd a few of us put through his hands, and the fellas, yeah. I was still in school, yeah. I used to ride out every morning before school. You'd probably ride one lot in the dark, and another lot quickly. After school, usually late for school. You'd have a bottle of deodorant with you, and you'd be putting it on, going up the road into school, and but sure, that's all you wanted. Then, like, school was on the back burner, as the fellas says. I was doing my leaving cert. Mother obviously made me do the leaving cert because you weren't allowed to leave. I wanted to go junior cert, but the mother said no. She said, you're doing the leaving cert above Anthem. And actually halfway during the exams, I had a ride from Martin Cullen below in Ballinrobe. So I went in for the morning exam anyway, and wrote down the name. And that time, once you had done the exam, you could leave. So I'd say it was a record time now. You had to stay for the first half an hour or something like that, and then you could leave. So I was gone. So it was 31 minutes on the clock, and I was gone. Off to Ballinrobe, rode in Ballinrobe, couldn't tell the mother, because she said, Jesus, if you got a fall like in the middle of the exams, that you couldn't finish your leaving cert, what are we going to do then next year? And but anyway, I rode and heard the rest of Martin Cullen, and came home, and eventually told the mother, and she went crazy about it. And she goes, mother knew then that it was only going to be one way, and that was to be racehorses. I had my first ride in Galway actually, on a horse of the brothers called Tufty, I think he was called. Galway in the October meeting. That was my first ride for the brother, and I'd say I've had my first ride Pint as well for the brother as well. And my first winner on the track was for Michael Hourigan on a horse called Knockawad. And actually, we have, myself and my wife Jemima, we have a little farm now in Australia, and it's called Knockawad Farm. So it's doing a full circle again. The first winner was in Tralee, at the old Tralee Racecourse. Around it. It was at the. They used to have a carnival that time, at a festival that time. It was a 3-day festival or something like that, I think. And so it was in a bumper. Looking back at it now, gave it an awful bad ride. We got up on the line, just on the line. Gave it a terrible bad ride. Got up just on the line. I beat. I forget what the horse is called now. But I beat Timmy Hyde rode it, Timmy Hyde Jr. So that'll tell you how long ago that was. The first Pint winner was for my brother David, on a horse called Amore. He was a fine big horse by Un Desperado, and that was in Longford Pint. Bottomless ground the same day, I'll never forget it. The first man actually to congratulate me inside in the tent was a man called Fergus Hanley. He used to be he'd be local to us at home there. He rode plenty of winners Pint and he trained plenty of winners as well since, but he was the first one, and I'll never forget it actually. The first thing he said to me was, he said, I hope it's the first of many. It was too. When I did finish the leaving, I went down to Michael Hourigan's then, and rode as an amateur there for, might have been the autumn Pint that time, and then he got me to turn conditional. In Hourigan's that time, it was myself, Richard Harding, Stephen Crane, Johnny Farley, Joey Walsh, Joey Casey was there as well. Joey Casey used to come in riding out. Obviously Paul Hourigan was still riding that time, he was still there. Yes, a few was there too. In Hourigan's that time then, that was the start of Beef for Salmon and High Clyde. Beef for Salmon, High Clyde, there's a few more, I forget their names now again. But yeah, Beef for Salmon had just won his Pint previous year, I think. Or no, he'd previous 2 years actually, and then he'd won his maiden hurdle, I remember, previous Christmas I think it was in Limerick. So when I went there, he was just after finishing hurling, and he was going chasing then the following year. I remember he ran him in his chase and ran him in the Clonmel Isle first time out. So everyone thought Mike was mad at the time, running a novice in an open chase like that. But he wasn't. He won as he liked. I think he won by half the track the same day. But he was electric. I remember schooling him on. Mike Hourigan used to have a row of, I think there was 3 or 4 fences, and then there'd be hurdles on after that. So we used to run up alongside the house, alongside the gallop. And I remember sitting in one morning schooling, and obviously he'd been Pint to Pint, and then he'd gone back, he went bumper and hurling then, and then he went going back jumping fences again. I remember schooling him that time, and I would just talk about a horse being on springs, like, Jesus, he was unbelievable. So yeah, that was Beef for Salmon in Hourigan's. Stayed in Hourigan's in for about I stayed there maybe 2 years, just riding away. I didn't have another winner, I don't think. And then we had a small bit of a disagreement with Kay one morning, and I said a couple of F's and blinds and that was whatever else, and left it, and came home then and was riding out for David, the brother, and he was actually, David was going very well at the time. He was, he'd had 15 or 20 in at the time, so he was pretty busy, but I remember sweating in. I couldn't find a job anywhere. I couldn't get a job anywhere. We were sitting down at the breakfast table after riding out one morning, and we're talking like, where are you going to go, or who are you going to go to, or who are you going to try and go to? And then David, the brother, just said, he said, maybe Michael O'Brien or something, he says. So we rang Michael, rang him, and I said, hello Michael, I'm Tom Ryan, wondering if you want, if you're looking for a claimer, £7 claimer. And, who? And Tom Ryan, I said, you wouldn't know me now, I said, but I'm wondering if there'd be any opportunity there for a £7 claimer. Come up tomorrow morning, we'll have a chat. So, or it was come up tomorrow morning or the day after or something like that, he said, we'll have a chat. Went up, rode out about 4 laps and finished riding out. He goes, do you want a job? I said, geez, I'd love one, yeah. Okay, he said, you can start Monday, be here at 7 o'clock or something like that it was. And I think that might have been the start of that. So we started, and that's all that was said. There was about 4 words said from Miko, as we used to call him, and started the following morning. And I knew he was just very, very good trainer. Jeez, he was a serious trainer. Was there for about a month and had nothing. There wasn't a sign of a ride coming, and after a month, then I got a ride and a few more rides, and then got a winner. And it was helped that David was actually going very well at the time. He had a few runners. When I was riding a couple of them in that, and so we were always about 40 horses there at the time, 30 or 40 I think at the time when I went there. Dennis Cullen was there. Joe O'Brien was there. I can't really think who it was. John McConnell's dad is down the road there. I used to have a few horses. He used to buy a few horses for me going. So he bought Essex and that. So yeah, they were there. But that time, I think I'd ridden 6 winners that season. And then the following season, I had a right good summer, kind of. Got broke up then halfway through the summer, but had a right few winners built up along the way, and then kicked on from there. And Miko was flying that time as well. You know, there was Forget the Past was there at the time, and Mick Cadoon was there. There was a couple of other good horses now as well. I can't fucking think of their names now. But yeah, the following year then was champion conditional, working for Miko. I think I had 33 winners or something like that for the conditional title. There was loads of outside rides. I think I only had about 6 winners from Miko the whole year, but the rest of them were all outside rides. 4 or 6 winners from Miko. The rest of them were all outside rides. Yeah, won the conditional title. Paddy Flood finished second, Andy Mack and Dennis Hourigan were third, I think, together. And then we went to that time. If you whoever was top of the table, the conditionals usually got a trip to Australia. So we got to go to Australia that year. Myself, Andy Mack, Dennis Hourigan, and Bob Malloy. Bob Malloy won the opportunity series, the Martinstown Opportunity Series that used to run that time. Bob Malloy won that, so he got to go as well. So the 4 of us headed off to Australia, and that was the start of me with Australia. The year we went to Adelaide and Melbourne, and I think we had about 11 or 12 rides between the two places over a 2-week period. But it was all go for us when we went. I know a lot of lads that went since. It wasn't, it was a lot more enjoyable, I think, that time. But at that time we went anyway, we were all go. But it was mighty crack. I remember riding in a good chase around Mooney Valley where the Cox Place is. Now, Mooney Valley is a very tight racecourse. And Jesus, it was tight. And it was a big chase that time. We thought Mooney Valley was unbelievable because Mooney Valley it's built up on the racecourse, as in the stands there. So like if you could nearly reach out and touch the horses going by. And we were going, geez, this is unreal. And we came out underneath the tunnel that time. Come out from the parade ring out underneath the tunnel and out onto the racecourse. It was a very tight racecourse at the time to be having a chase, or I think there was a hurdle and a chase the same day. And but that was our time in Australia at the start of it, yeah. Got badly broke up fairy house at Easter time. I think I'd broken my eye socket and my cheekbone, and missed Punchdown. Then it was on a couple of weeks later. And there was the one thing I missed really was the brother actually had a Punchdown Festival winner. He won the plateau with a horse called One for Shannon, and there was a real sickener to lose that one. But anyway, the following year I was, after having a lot of injuries, and I was quite enough now, I was struggling enough really. Not struggling, but quieter than what it had been the previous year obviously, but I was riding a good horse from Michael that time, a horse called Cadoon, and he's a funny old horse, isn't that you couldn't bully him, and I used to get on very well with him, and I know he ran at Leopardstown at Christmas time, and he ran in ASC again, but Miko had him lined up to head for Cheltenham for the Perth Thames final, 3 mile handicap hurdle. And obviously we were never guaranteed the riding because AP was riding them all at that time. But whatever way it worked out anyway, I kept the riding Cadoon. He went to Cheltenham, and we had forget to pass in the Gold Cup that year. He finished third, and I think we only had the 2 runners. He was in the Gold Cup and finished third, and Cadoon won the Perth Thames final. And sure, that was a massive moment. Like, Jesus, you spend all your life dreaming of riding there, let alone riding the winner there, and that. I went to Cheltenham and I didn't have a clue. Like, I just got a flight to, I think it was Birmingham, and like you talk about the racing crew, like you didn't know how I was going to go from Birmingham to Cheltenham. But that time actually, I had a couple of rides in Stratford the day before the festival, the Monday. Actually, the winner there for Stephen Mahon the same day as well, and so got off the plane in Birmingham, and I had met a lad. He brought me to Stratford, like, you know, like this time, like now you'd have Uber, you'd have something, and you have the Google, and you'd find a way, you know, you'd have it sorted before you get there. All that time, it was just off the plane and like, says, how are you going? Where are you going? And got a lift to Stratford, and again in Stratford, I'll never forget, I got a fall in the novice chase beforehand, and got to fall the last fence on the first circuit. So I got up and it was fine. So I said I'd walk back to the weigh room instead of getting the lift back in the ambulance. So I was walking up through the crowd, and a real good friend of the family at home, he's dead now, the rest of him, a fellow called Mike Connolly, met me halfway down through the crowd. He goes, "How are you, Tommy?" That wasn't too good, that one. A typical Galway accent. And I was kind of like, this is in the middle of Stratford Racecourse, you see this fella, like, he goes, "How are you, Tommy?" But that'll tell you, like, as in I got a lift from Stratford in. I met another fella there called Kieran Granger. He'd have been a very good owner of Miko's at the time, and he brought me to Cheltenham. I'll never forget, there was no Google Maps that time, so I was rented a room off just willy-nilly off a person that had rented the room, just a room in her house, and we'd no Google Maps. We're about an hour and a half driving around Cheltenham on the Monday night looking for this house, like, and anyway, we got going eventually, but I remember waking up the Tuesday morning of the festival, and it wasn't too far from the racecourse now, but I used to walk down to ride out, walk back, grab the bag and walk back down again. Like, so you were walking down the street of Cheltenham with your bag, the lad's looking at you going, where's this lad going? I wasn't going that well going into it, and I was actually losing the job with Mick all the time. I had reduced my claim. It was down to 3 and I only had a couple of winners left in it as well. To lose to 3. Andrew Lynch had just started in Mickos that time as well, and he was claiming 5, I think, or 7 or 5, and he was getting a lot more of the rides. So I was kind of finishing up in Mickos then. So I needed the winner, but I had the winner in Cadoon for JP, and yeah, it raised your profile a small bit then. So when you were freelancing in, it wasn't too bad, you know. Not that it wasn't too bad, but it made it a little bit easier to get rides. I think I rode my £5 claim out in something like 2 weeks, like. Do you know? That time I think there was 15 minutes to ride your £5 claim out to go down to 3, you know. And then 3 I had it for ever. And what I felt like ever. Yeah, there probably I don't know what it is now, but I probably could have been a better structure. Is that you could have your £5 claim for a lot longer, and you might have more of a base built up in a relationship with someone to do it. But I half blame myself anyway, like, for going quiet, because I put so much into winning the conditional title, and then I never even thought a day past the conditional title, and I sort of half took it easy, you know, took the foot off the pedal, and that's what fucked me, if you like, you know that, you know. But it wasn't too bad to get rides after the winner in Cheltenham, because it had raised the profile a small bit, but it still wasn't a steady flow, you know. So yeah, then it was a couple of ordinary years for a while. You know, I was struggling away, and then I was riding for everyone. I was riding for Joe Murphy. Joe Murphy was a great help in Cashel in Tipperary. Riding for him, and I used to ride a bit for Eugene O'Sullivan. There was a few of them, yeah. Off the top of my head now, I'm going to forget it. But yeah, struggled away, I think, for a while, and then I liked Australia an awful lot, and I said if I ever got a chance I'd go back. But then the recession hit then, bad, like. Just a lot of us were struggling, even to get a wage. You couldn't get a wage. And I had been talking to the brother Darden. He was just after finishing college, I think. And I said, come on, we'll go to Australia for a year. And he said, sound, yeah. And we originally planned to go for a year, and then 13 years later, here I am, still out there. I'd known a girl here from Kildare called Katie McManaman, and she was out there working in Mountain, and I said, we're going to come out, and she said, yes, deadly. She said, give me a shout if you ever need a hand on it, and when he in, she actually picked us up from the airport, and we went to spend a couple of weeks with her. But anyway, we got there on the 4th of January 2011, and it was freezing here at the time, and when we got there it was 35 degrees or something. Jesus Christ, sweat would be rolling off you. But anyway, I had met Nathan Jones, was a jockey over there on the tour when we went there, and he got me a job with Russell Cameron in Flemington Racecourse. But I was at the Australian Open, the tennis, on the piss, and I bumped into Stephen Payton, who was champion jump jockey there, and I'd known him from the tour as well. And Jesus, sure got on great with Payton, still am. Best man for his wedding, or one of his best men for his wedding, and yeah, so he was a big help now, because he got me schooling for a lot of lads and whatever. But I was working for Russell Cameron in Flemington Racecourses. Obviously, very good friends. Payton had been very good friends with Kieran Maher since then. I have been as well, and sure Kieran he's now, you know, one of the top trainers in Australia, but at the time he was only starting off really. So we started schooling a lot for Kieran and another good trainer called Robert Smurden. Payton was riding first jockey for them, and I was kind of picking up whatever Payton couldn't ride, I would ride, and schooling for everyone else or whatever. But I won a national the first year I was there. Won the Grand National for, it was actually my first winner. I hadn't ridden a winner all year, struggled, and won the national for Kieran Maher for 100 to 1, and that set the ball rolling in for me in Australia. You know, it's 3 miles the national there, and it's over easy fixed fences. That time it was at Sandown Racecourse in the city, and it's now in Ballarat, which is just outside the city. Ruby won the national there actually a few years ago on Kieran's horse as well, Bash Boy. That was around Ballarat actually, yeah. Before that it was in Sandown when I won it. So yeah, that got the ball rolling for me in Australia, and I know the following year I flew over there. You know, I won about, I think it was 7 or 8 feature races, which would be, you know, to be like graded races here. So it was a great time. Yeah, the ball was rolling in Australia, but that time we used to have jump racing in 2 states in Australia, in South Australia and Victoria. Whereas now jump racing is only in Victoria, but it's probably, jump racing there is probably bigger than ever now than it was before even. You know, it's really got a great following, and but there was a time there when I went there first that it was struggling, like it was on its knees. But to be fair to the Race in Victoria, they've really got behind it, and it's flourishing now. You know, the May Carnival now at Warrnambool, like that's pretty big. Like, nothing like Cheltenham now. Wouldn't be as big as Cheltenham, but you know, to be Australia's version of it, like, you know. That's 3 days in the first week of May. Our lowest race in Australia would be 27,500. That's the lowest prize money, like, you know, so that's pretty good, like. There'll be plenty of 100 grand races there, 150 grand races. Our national is 350 or 400,000, I think. Might even be going to 500,000 this year. Could be wrong now, but you know, it's heading that, it's up around there for the prize money for that. So the national and the grand annual, which will be ran in Warrnambool in May, they'll be the 2 biggest races, and they're worth that prize money. Yeah, well, they'll be all off the flat, obviously. It's to good standard. Wouldn't be as good a standard as what it'll be here now, obviously, because here it's the primary source, but over there it's a second career, like, for a horse. But there'll be plenty of Group 1 performers racing around there, you know. So they still have plenty of ability, you know. If they're running that well in group races and that, like, I mean, their best jumper that has ever come out of Australia was a horse called Karaz. He was the first horse to win 3 Nekiyama Grand Jumps, and like, he ran 4th in the Melbourne Cup, like, you know. That sort of standard, yeah. So the jump season starts in March and finishes the last week of August. They water, obviously, even for the flat they water. They'd always water to maintain, but which they have to start a meeting now for the soft 5, so they'll be like a good to soft here. They have to start the meeting of that. But then during the winter, like, you get proper soft ground, you know. You mightn't get bottomless heavy like we get here sometimes, but you get genuine soft, good soft ground, like, you know, soft to heavy ground. So yeah, like, everyone thinks Australia is just, you know, sun and beaches and all that. I tell you, Victoria can get cold, like, gets proper cold. Like, you can ski in Victoria, you know, snow ski. Like, we only live an hour and a half from the ski slopes where we are. But yeah, so you'd get genuine winters in Victoria. The only thing is about getting a genuine winter, at least you know you're going to get a genuine summer. It's not like here where you might get a week of a summer, like, you know. It is different, yeah. It's a lot different. Here, I think you'd be always forcing it, whereas in Australia you'd be always trying to save a bit, you know. You wouldn't want. One thing I found was the difference between the two horses was, at home here they'd always stay going for you, whereas in Australia they might be quicker, but they'd peak and they'd run a lot sooner, and they wouldn't have as much of a. They wouldn't stay going, you know. They don't have that bit of a sprint, and then that'd be it. Whereas here, the Irish horse, I suppose it's probably the way they're trained, they'd always stay going for you, always keep finding. Might be another thing as regards to different gallops, because they'll be so much fitter and probably tougher, if you like, even. That they'd stay going here more for that bit longer than they would with an Australian horse, you know. Spring over there, which would be Melbourne Cup time, which would be October, November. Like, that is the busiest time for us because we're Victorian based, whatever. But like all the different states would have all the different carnivals. So like during the winter you'd go to Brisbane or Queensland, you know. Weather's a lot better up there. Obviously in the winter time they have plenty of racing there. Sydney then, which would be New South Wales, their big time of the year is usually around this time of the year. But they also have a bit in spring as well, but a lot of the good Group 1 racing will be in Sydney now this time of the year, you know. So they kind of follow the seasons, yeah, around the different states, you know. I work for the Hayes brothers, which would be Lindsay Park Racing. So it's the old dynasty of Colin Hayes and then David Hayes, and now the sons, Ben, Will and JD. So I work for them every day, or I work first and then I go do some of the bloodstock work for Lindsay Park Racing. And then obviously we'd go racing once a week, and you'd have trials in it as well. So that'd be, you know, trials are just like our schooling races here. We're out in the country where we're all starting, or so they'd probably start in the area around 5, we'd start riding out at 6. And we'd say if I ride 10, I'd ride 10 on average morning. Might be more on gallop mornings, but usually 10. And I'd have what we call a strapper, so I'd have someone that would grab my horse, tack it up. When I come back in after the next one, they'd bring that horse and wash it and grab the next one. Do you know, that's sort of it. So it kind of goes a bit that way, you know. Yeah. So it's always running. Yeah. But then again, to get 10 horses ridden out in a 3-hour window, you know, you'd have to. You probably need that, like, you know. Racing in Australia, it's made up of all syndicates. Do you know, there'd be very few outright owners. It'd be all syndicates. So yeah, we'd be buying and selling shares in horses, and you'd be dealing with owners and so on and so forth. All trainers be all flat, but you'd have maybe one or two solely jumping. So Eric Musgrove would probably be the only solely jumps trainer there. Steve Pateman trains a bit. He also rides, but he trains jumpers as well. But Patrick Payne would have a lot of jumpers, but he'd also have a lot of flat horses. So they'd all be mainly flat trainers, but they'd have a handful of jumpers, you know, each. A handful or 10 or whatever number of jumpers each, you know. So that 250 that's been trained in Lindsay Park, to be all flat horses. There might be some during the year that you said this will make a lovely jumper and he might go jumping, but we might have 3 or 4 jumpers as well. We'd have, We have 3 stables, so we'd have the main base, Euroa, where we'd have we have 200 there at the moment. We've just opened the 3rd stable, so we're just shifting horses to there now. But we've main base is Euroa, and then we'd have Flemington, which is in the city, where the Melbourne Cup is. We'd have, I think we've 50 boxes there, but we don't have them 15 there. I think we might have had 45 there, something like that. And then we've just opened another stable in Pakenham, which would be an hour the other side of Melbourne City, and we've 30 boxes there. So yeah, that's the 3 stables that we'd have in Victoria. But a lot of, like Chris Waller and that, and Kieran, that have 2 stables in 2 states. So them lads are in New South Wales, which would be Sydney, and Victoria, which would be Melbourne. So everything that come to Euroa, that'd be the main base for us, for Lindsay Park. Everything that come there and they'd get fit there. And then when they start doing their trials, they might go to Flemington to do jump outs down there, trials down there. Or if they're racing down that side of the state, we'd be shifting that way, Yeah. So to give you a ballpark figure, like from Euroa to Flemington, we do 2 trucks a week. So one on the Tuesday and one on the Thursday. So the one on the Tuesday would come back with the runners that ran that weekend, and they bring down the runners or the horses that were jumping out on the Friday or running at the weekend, and again the same thing on Thursday. Yeah. So probably the best race horse in the yard is probably the truck. We have a lot of sand gallops, but they wouldn't be as deep as what the sand would be here now. And we'd have a lot of pro ride surfaces. In Lindsay Park we have a lot of hills, but we'd be rare in Australia now as regards hills. Like, to be only ourselves in Lindsay Park and Ballarat Training Centre that would have hill gallops, The rest would be all flat. So it's and you wouldn't get many straight gallops. Do you know, like what we'd have here, straight up a hill, like the old Vic there now, the Cora or whatever. Jeez, you wouldn't get anything like that over there now. You might in Ballarat have a straight gallop, but it's only 5 furlongs, 6 furlongs. So it's different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But it's another way of thinking about it, and of how to get that horse fit. Like, that's the one thing I'd say about in Australia, is that they're very good at putting speed back into a horse's legs. That sort of way. Now I know he might be a lot fresher as well, I suppose. When you're fresher, your things go quicker or whatever. But yeah, it's a gas way to it's a funny way to look at things. Like, yeah, we have no watch up at all. No. And I remember years ago when the pro ride surfaces came in here, like the synthetic surfaces. They all thought that the wood chips would be gone within 10 years. I think the wood chips have resurrected themselves again, and they've gone back into more wood chips, Whereas over there we'd have a lot of the synthetic tracks, yeah. Or sand. Victoria, it'd be like Ireland, so we'd have, how many racecourses over here? 30 something. You'd have the same in Victoria out there. And I suppose you'd have maybe even more in Sydney or New South Wales, So as regards how many racecourses in the country, there'd have to be 100 more. Like they all say, when you buy a racehorse in anywhere, that you should never expect to be making money on it, and it's true. But the one thing you would in Australia is that you wouldn't be losing money. They'd be paying for themselves, which is a great thing. And a lot of them can go the other way then and make you a lot of money. Pretty much on par here with here. If you do the conversion rate, like we'll say, our training fees now in Lindsay Park would be $145 a day, but then there'd be plus GST, which is VAT here. So we'll say it probably end up at $165 or $170 a day. But like if for a horse to cover himself, like he'd probably have to win about 2 races a season to get himself covered. You know, to be properly covered, and he'd have everything. He'd have all the training fees and veterinary fees and all that covered for that. Be a lot of syndicates in Australia, like, so a lot of 5% owners and 10% owners, and even down to 2.5%, 1% owners. So, but it's a great thing because it gets everyone involved. You know, I don't know what the study was now, but they did one in Australia there, and I think it was 78% of the population had an interest in a horse somewhere. Yeah. Now whether that was a trotter or a racehorse, or, you know, it's an outstanding stat. Like, even if you have that small share, you know, you're getting into that racecourse that day. You might not get into the mountain yard, but you will get into the racecourse that day, and, you know, you'll get looked after. Like, we buy a yearling at the sales, and you will come along to me and say, I want to take 5% of him, and another fella will come along to me and he'll say, I want to take 5% of him. So usually you'd have, for the race book, we'll say for the race card, you're allowed to put 20 names with that horse. So if they're any smaller than that, then they're any smaller than a 5% share, then they'd have to go into a little syndicate, just so they can get on the race card to become an owner of that horse. So you'd have 20 names in the book, and if we'll say you bought that 5% and you had 5 lads to go with you, you'd go into a little syndicate, and then 5 lads would be in that horse as well, like, so they'd have a share on that horse, but they might not know, because there'll be so many people in it, they might not know the rest of the owners in it, you know. So it's a phenomenal way of thinking about it. But I remember here, like, I think you're only allowed 4 tickets with a horse here to get into the racecourse, whereas there, everyone will get in through a racecourse if they have a runner, you know. Whereas here, I don't know what it was, I think it was here, because I remember there's a few of us beyond we were coming home for Galway one year, and we had a share, or we had a racehorse with the brother, and I think there was 6 of us in a syndicate, and I think only 4 of us got tickets to get in to Galway that year, like, you know. So there you go now, here to I sort that one out. They'd get an update every week, obviously, so every 5 to 7 days, but they'd get a video, and that'd be so we have camera, I was going to say cameraman, but we have camera women in Lindsay Park now. They're there 5 days a week filming gallops. Now they'd only get the last furlong of the gallop, but that's all you really need to see to. But so that'll be sent out to the owners with an update from the trainer, saying how he's going, how it galloped, and where we're thinking about going with the horse, or if it's going to a jump out next week or 10 days time or whatever. And that's the one good thing about the communication between the trainers and the owners. Even though there's so many owners, they're still getting plenty of communications and updates from the trainer, you know. So it's a very good. We have very good communication skills as regards with owners and that, you know. The owner going to the racecourse, going to the races to see that horse, I think they're very well looked after. Like, you know, at any racecourse, any owner that has a share in the horse, he'll get a ticket to go in the gate, and he'll get a ticket for a drink, and he'll get a ticket for, it might not be a meal, but it'll be a sandwich or something like that. He'll have a ticket for that, to see that horse run. And then they'd always have a winner's room. So if that horse won and the owners were there, they'd always be back into the winner's room. They'd look at the replay of the race, and they'd have a drink there while they're watching that, and maybe a bite to eat as well. But yeah, they're very well looked after like that. Yeah. They'd all trial before they'd race, you know, so you'd get to see them having them jump outs. You know, it's all about the punter in Australia, really. Like, he gets to know every little detail about that horse before he gets to the racecourse at all, you know. And even an unraced 2-year-old, before it would go to the races, it would obviously have to get his barrier ticket. But they're all recorded, all them barrier trials, what we call them. They're all recorded and shown. So they might only jump out over 4 furlongs. But you can see them and see can they do it, or how good they're doing it, or So you'll have a fair idea of the horse's ability before he gets to the racecourse at all, yeah. Which is very different that way now, yeah. Like, there'd rarely be one opening up at 33-1 being backed into 2-1 favourite, because he's exposed, if you like, before he gets there at all, When I went there first, it was all TAB, but the bigger bookies now, like their Bet Sportsbet and Ladbrokes now, they're in there now as well, but a lot of it, like when I went there first, it was all TABs, it was all total, it was all rejuvenated back into prize money again. No, it still is. I don't know what the structure is with the bookies and that at the moment, but the majority of it, what's bet, is put back into the system. Betting is huge in Australia. Yeah. Like, your Saturdays in Australia are football and horse racing. And everyone will have a bet. Like, everyone would have a bet. You finish work on a Friday evening, you go to the pub. They'd have the TAB machines there. It'd be just a machine, and you'd be putting it on like you'd have a scratch card here, or you'd be putting on your lottery numbers there. You'd be putting it on the same thing, same way. So it's obviously works for them. That's why the prize money is so good, Sportsbet, Paddy Power, Ladbrokes is there. Who else is there? There's so many of them that they're all under different names. Like, I didn't know Paddy Power was Sportsbet. We have 250 there at the moment. Yeah. So there's a lot of owners to be dealing with. So we have 250 horses there at the moment. I'd probably ride about 10 lots a morning, and then I'd go into the office after I finish riding out. Then I'd go in the office until about 3 o'clock in the day, and then I'd go home, and I'd have my own little farm at home then as well. Just myself and my wife Jemima. We have our own little farm. We do a lot of spelling of horses, and we might have a couple for the sales and that. So there's always work to be done. The training in Australia, it's a lot of speed orientated, like, so it'll be all sprinting as regards being training a racehorse, But in saying that, I used to work for Peter Moody, who trained Black Caviar. Serious trainer. And the similarities between him and Mick O'Brien were unbelievable. Like, the two of them don't know each other, but they used to train exactly the same. Like, it's mad when you look back at it, like, in two different worlds, but they could train exactly the same. Like, they used to train exactly the same. But now there'd be a lot more sprinter orientated in Australia, obviously, as regards training racehorses. But I always think back to that Miko and Peter Moody used to train exactly the same way. Yeah. With what they used to do, as regards like what they used to do with horses on a day-to-day basis, and it's gas that way really. Shane Jackson has done very well. He's retired from riding now and he's training. Richie Cully is retired from riding and he's training. Nicky O'Shea is retired from riding and he's training. And they're doing it very, very well. There's Rocket Morrissey is out there. He's training as well. He'll be Jimmy Morrissey's son. You've Conor Fahy. He's in New Zealand now, but he was in Australia. He's in New Zealand training, doing very well. It's Pat Fahy's son. Who else is there? I'm forgetting half of them now. There'd be plenty of Irish people working out there, loads of them. We'd say in our own yard, one of our foremen is Eric Broad. He'd be the Broads here in Meath. He's our foreman out there, so he'd be one Irish. Nora Luby, they used to be apprentice here in Kildare and was in England as well. She's out there working for us. Tommy Harty, that I actually worked with in Michael Hourigan's one time. Tommy went over and he worked for Coolmore over there. He was actually stallion man for Fastness Rock, which would be a very good sire over there. And he's working with us in Lindsay Park. So there's It's done a whole circle in it, like it's gas when you're 15, 16, 17 working in Hourigans, and you end up the other side of the world and we're still working together, you know. And that's the one thing about Australia, like this, if you're willing to work, like there's plenty of opportunities there, plenty of opportunities. And that's the beauty about it, you know. It's a better paying job than here, yeah. If you do anything out there, you get paid for it, do you know? No matter what you do. You'll always get paid for it, yeah. The best track in Australia out there now would probably be Sandown, as regards jumps track, which is in the city. But that's a big galloping track, do you know? I don't know what it is in circumference now, but it's a fine big galloping track, big hill up the back. You slope down into the straight then. So the Grand National Hurdle is held there, and the Crisp Steeplechase is there, and the Australians Chase and Hurdle are there as well. So that'd be the only city track that we'd have jump racing. But then we've good jump racing in Pakenham. You know, it's another new track. It's a fine big galloping track as well. And then we have the Grand National at Ballarat. It's a good size track too. And then you'd have a lot of smaller ones like Hamilton and Casterton and Coleraine, and that there'd be a lot tighter courses. There'd be a lot of the smaller tracks obviously. But then we have Warrnambool, and Warrnambool is a bit like Punchestown, where the chases we head off out of the track, the main course, and you head across the road and up a hill, you know, come down again and cross the road and back into the course proper again, you know. So it's a bit like Punchestown, I suppose, that way, you know, where they head off, you know, head off the course proper, if you like. At the moment out there, like, it's all about the sprinter. Like, the 2-year-old sales, like, it always have to be yearlings at the sales would always sprinters, like to be. Now you'd be buying some of them that you'd be saying to be your derby horses, and that's what they're classing their stayers. But their sprinters is what's all interesting. And that's why a lot of them have come over here to buy our stayers in Ireland and England, you know, to bring them back for the staying races over there. Which. And it's probably something to do with the syndicates, because if you buy yearling at the sales and you have 20 people in it, like, it's very hard to keep them 20 people happy if that horse is not going to make it until he's 3, you know. So that's a lot of the things. That's the way breeding has gone over there. They've gone more into the sprinters because of that, you know, which is now they're trying to resurrect that now again, you know, and go back into try and breed a bit more stayers. 5 furlongs, 6 furlongs to a mile, you know. Sprinter miler, that's what you'd be buying at the yearling sales usually. You still have your stayers. They'll be your derby horses, like, you know. But they wouldn't be very fashionable at the sales, you know. So they still have to be bred. But then a lot of New Zealand would breed a lot more stayers than what Australia would. So that's when the New Zealand horses would be so popular. So, you know, they're more of a trade country as well, you know. Plenty of Irish horses and English horses going to Australia at the moment, yeah. Oh, plenty. Like the horse and training sales there. Geez, I think the last horse and training sales there, last August or whatever it was, I think there was 32 horses out of it that ended up in Australia. Do you know? Something along that lines, you know, I don't know what exactly it was, if it was 32, but something along those lines that ended up there. But they're all viewed as stayers. They're all viewed as being slow, if you like, you know, but they're not. Like we'd have, out of the 250 that we have there now, we'd have 10 of them. 10 of them would probably be from over around here, you know. We had a bit of success there with a horse called Dublin Journal. He's won a couple. Do you know, a lot of horses would have been bought for the review run in the Melbourne Cup. It would be good enough either, but they'd be there. And yeah, Chris Waller would have a lot of horses from here. You know, Zaki, which is a very good horse there, came from Michael Stouts and went to Annabel Neesham. You know, he came from the horse and training sales as well, so there'll be plenty of Northern Hemisphere bred horses, you know, down there, yeah. It's viewed that we have the best horses in the world, like. Do you know, our breed and that's probably going back from, you know, Vincent O'Brien that started all, you know, he started the Irish horse really, like, you know, and it's amazing how that's still being carried on, that breed. He, you know, that he brought in the American bloodlines and he mixed them with the Irish bloodlines and, you know, became the best horses in the world, which they are. Yeah. The best stayers in the world, isn't it? Yeah. We did in Australia, we've the best sprinters in the world, there's no doubt about it. But then all our racing, not all our racing, but a lot of our racing would be geared towards sprinting. But yet their best race is a 2 mile handicap, you know. So it's gas, like. There'd be great interest there now. There was great interest there last year for the Melbourne Cup with Willie and Vauban, like that. They, I remember the first year Willie went over there. Well, it wasn't the first year now, but he brought over, I think it was Max Dynamite. He McMullins was actually looking after the horse as well over there, and like the galloping at the racecourse, like you start ridiculous hour in the morning. Like you start at 4 o'clock in the morning. They all on the lights, but I'll never forget they came in to go galloping, Willie's, and they didn't get there till 8:30 or something in the morning. Like the place had been nearly closed at that time. And the reporters were all up waiting for Max Dynamite to come and gallop. So he came in anyway, he came in at 8:30, 9 o'clock, they were all leaving, like he was the last one in. And he galloped up over 6 furlongs, I think, and pulled up. The next thing, all the reporters were leaving, they thought he had finished. Next thing, one of them seen, I think it was Max Dynamite, I don't know, but they seen him going back down again to do it again. To come up a second time up over 6 furlongs, they thought, this is crazy stuff, like. He's after galloping twice in one day. And then Max Dynamite came out and he did what he did. Finished second in the Melbourne Cup or whatever, but yeah, they couldn't believe it at the time, like. He was after galloping twice that morning, like, you know. They do a fair bit less, yeah, they do, yeah. There wouldn't be as much cantering even. Do you know, the normal everyday cantering. But then again, I'd be thinking of a jumping point of view where you'd be doing a lot more cantering. The Melbourne Cup is like the Aintree National, exactly the same thing, yeah. It's the hardest race to win in Australia on the flat. But so it's exactly like what the Aintree National would be here, yeah, same thing. And a handicap as well, obviously, so. Yeah, and it's as big as that, like that the country does stop, like, to see that one race, like. You know, a race that stops the nation, and it is. If I was to bring one thing from Ireland to Australia, I'd bring a stayer. Not a stayer, but a 1.5 mile horse. Because it can make such good prize money out there. And if you could bring him out there and do what he does here, I think it'd benefit that horse more so out there. And then, again, on that, you'd like to bring a sprinter back here. From Australia, like to hear. As regards the way they train their sprinters. As regards to the way they train the sprinters here in Ireland. So if you had a 150 rated hurdler in Australia, he'd be a very good hurdler now. He'd be your horse that would be winning your Grand National hurdle or your Galway hurdle, you know, which would be 250, 300,000 prize money, you know, that type of hurdle race. If he had farm here on good ground, he'd be able to make a lot of money on the flat over there as well. Like every Saturday, like a city class race is at least 150,000. Do you know? So like, if he's 150 rated hurdler here, he's a good horse, very good horse. But he also has flat ability, you know. Not really. Actually, we met at the races, would you believe? Yeah. I don't know. I think it was through a mutual friend or something, and just got chatting, and yeah, it was the races. Because I remember our first date, if you like, was at Flemington Racecourse. It was on the rare Saturday with the offer. I'd taken it off or something and went racing. But yeah, got married last November. we've our own little farm there in Euroa. So we're an hour and a half outside the city, the CBD of Melbourne. Yes, we do our own little thing there. Jemima is a podiatrist, and she's her own clinic, and she rides herself, and she rides a lot of show horses. She does a lot of showing, kind of dressage, showing and that. And I did my own horse, then I did my own hunter. We do a bit of hunting in Australia too, a bit like home. We're actually my hunts is the hunt that I hunt with the whole time, the Oaklands hunt. They're actually hunted by a Wexford man called Conor Dwyer. Yeah, he used to hunt the Wexfords as well, I think. I don't know if he does now, but I think it was the Wexfords. I know he did the Kildares for a while. He hunted the Kildares, yeah, so he hunts our hounds out there. And they'd hunt once a week or so, yeah. Real hunt, yeah, hounds and all that, yeah. And they hunt foxes. The fox was actually introduced into Australia by an Englishman years ago for that sole purpose, and that's why they have foxes in Australia. And now they're out around with them. But yeah. So they hunt the foxes, yeah. Still racing away. I still like to win as many of the big ones as you possibly could out there. And obviously then with the farm as well, I'd like to have it set up there a little bit better, that you still do your spellers and a few for the sales and that. And I'd be happy enough with that.